My parents were married, but my dad was absent a lot for work. Nothing in my life was ever stable or dependable. My dad was constantly switching jobs, and we moved a lot, sometimes every few days. I grew up on a street called Colfax, which a prominent magazine once called the longest, wickedest street in America. Half the year was spent moving between shady motels on Colfax, and the other half was spent camping in tents. We were homeschooled, so people often thought that we didn't attend school, and that combined with how many kids were living in one room motel, we often had child protective services called on us. Because of this, our mom taught us to be very secretive because anything we said could be taken wrong. I was terrified of foster care, so that didn't shock people. From the ages of 5 to 16, I was continually sexually abused by various people, from people I was very close to and trusted to strangers. This left me with a deeply embedded sense of fear and shame, as well as being very uncomfortable in my own body. I became a very angry and fussy child, and my mom told me that my crying made her want to ship me off on a bus. So at the age of 5, I learned to turn my bad emotions inward and began self-harming. When I was 16, my depression and self-harm grew worse, and I attempted suicide. I was checked into a psych ward when my parents took me on a day pass, and they drove to Tennessee. When we were in Tennessee, I got involved in a good youth group, and I started to do better in some areas. But when we moved back to Colorado, I started attending a public high school. It was a huge shock to me, and I felt so out of place. At that time, I began to believe that carbs were evil, and I refused to eat them. My sister started putting us on secret diets when I was 7, but this was the beginning of my true consistent restricting, even though I didn't have a name for it. I believed that eating was shameful and something to be done in secret. My restricting continued into college, where I eventually had to withdraw because I was too sick to attend class. I tried attending another university, but my depression grew severely worse, and my self-harm started to scare even me, so I lasted only 1 semester. At that point, I felt like a complete failure. One day, while searching for a new diet to try, I discovered the world of the online eating disorder community. I was amazed to discover that there were other people who thought like I did, and that there was a name for it. So I jumped right in and I felt at home. However, this led to my total obsession, and I soon began purging and abusing laxatives. Before long, I started stealing food to binge and purge. I hated myself and who I had become, and I couldn't handle my life anymore. This prompted a string of treatment centers, counselors, and nutritionists just trying to get my life back. However, they all failed, and after another failed treatment and another failed suicide attempt, I finally applied to Mercy in January 2009. Within that same month, I lost my job and my apartment. Between no longer having access to a gym 24/7, trying not to purge for fear Mercy wouldn't accept me into the program, and other factors, I tripled my weight between the time I applied and when I arrived at Mercy 14 months later. This left me in pure torment and with extreme self-loathing. When I arrived at Mercy, I was extremely fearful. I cried every day, and I hardly spoke to anyone. One of the biggest things I had to overcome here was my perception of God. I viewed him as a harsh, distant, and demanding father figure who was waiting for me to mess up so that he could throw it in my face. I also didn't believe that prayer worked, because when I was little, My grandfather had cancer, and my granny told me that he would be healed because the whole church was praying for him. When he later died, I assumed that prayer didn't work, or that only worked for evangelists. I now know that God does listen too, and He answers my prayers, and that my prayers are powerful and dynamic in their working. My parents also told me that God wanted to bless people and provide for their needs. But my own family lived in severe poverty, so I assumed that I wasn't good enough for God to bless. I now know that my dad just wasn't a good steward of money. One of the most significant things that I learned about God in my time here was how gentle and kind He is. I cried when I read Matthew 11:28 through 29, which says, "Come to me, all you who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon me, let me teach you, for I am humble and gentle at heart." Much of my time here was a roller coaster of emotions. On the one hand, I was so grateful just to have a safe and beautiful home, a room, and a bed. I was grateful to know that every time that I flipped the switch, the light would come on, and every time I used the sink, the water would run. But I had to face things that I'd always pushed down, and I had to feel emotions that I'd always known myself to. And it was one of the most frightening and overwhelming things that I've ever had to do. But through it all, God used His Word, the staff, my assignments, and even other residents to strengthen and encourage me. A verse that I found partway through my stay here was Isaiah 3:1, which I read like this: the Lord of heaven's armies, will take away from Liv everything she depends on. And He did. He took away everything that I depended on, so that I have to learn to depend only on Him. It really forced me to find new ways to cope, which included things like going to God, big shocker, speaking His Word out loud, and speaking truth over myself. Through this, God transformed my mind, and He revived my dormant heart. I learned to see the lies that I was believing, and I learned to reject them. And I let God's love take root in my heart. I learned that my past does not dictate my future. That God has amazing plans in store for me. I learned that I am an overcomer, a conqueror, a co-heir with Christ, an instrument of righteousness. I am beautiful and blessed and cherished and chosen, empowered, free and guiltless, healed, indestructible, unblemished, and precious, and most importantly, I am not ashamed. I know that I am called and that God's going to use me in great and mighty ways in His kingdom. My plans for after Mercy are to work at Gold's Gym and to pay off my debt with Gazelle and Timothy. While I'm doing that, I plan to learn to drive, an idea that scared me prior to Mercy, to get plugged into church, to get involved in politics, and to seek after God with radical passion. At some point down the road, I want to work with sexual abuse and sex trafficking victims, and I pray that God will use me to help bring justice to the globe's children and to help revolutionize this nation and the entire world for Jesus. And you know what? If He only grants me a portion of that, the devil better watch out.